Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Dream 100 Show. Today's topic is all about what's in it for me. So within the Dream 100 framework, one of my favorite things to do is to analyze campaigns that have failed. Now, traditionally, these are not going to be campaigns that I or my team implemented for other people because we've been there, done that, and made all the mistakes. So usually the Facebook message or the LinkedIn message or the Instagram DM or the email goes something like this. Michael, here's the message that I sent, or here's the approach that I took with the Dream 100. What did I do wrong, or what am I doing wrong? Because I'm not getting replies and I'm not converting people from potentially interested to someone that wants to enroll, someone that wants to partner. They want to sign up for something with you to help you move the needle and in turn them to get to move the needle. And when I look at the way that things are phrased and the way that you're trying to move that needle, there's a common thread. And that common thread is very, very simply, you are approaching it with your needs in mind. You're not focusing on everyone's most important person in their life, which is them. So I've read emails that say things like, I've been trying to follow up with you about a potential partnership, haven't heard back, where do we go from here, ... Now, that is one of my favorite sales-related emails with the ... and where do we go from here, but that's used in a completely different context. That's used when you're trying to sell somebody on a service or a product and you've had some interactions, not where you're trying to land a Dream 100 relationship. Or the invites to the podcast say, I'd love to have you on my podcast because I think your audience would benefit from you being on and me being on there with you, and we could benefit your audience. You need to take a couple of steps back. And if you want to effectively deploy this strategy, when you get to the stage where you are executing outreach by way of emails, direct messages across all the social media platforms, phone calls, handwritten letters, every single one of those needs to be written with your prospect, that Dream 100 relationship, on the other side, and their needs met first. Example. If I was doing the podcast outreach, our messages are drastically different. They would say, Dear Dream 100 relationship, I have a podcast that I believe you would benefit from being on. Can I feature you on that podcast? Can I expose my audience to you? Can I promote this on social media? Can I put some ad dollars behind it? How can I help you grow your audience? Because we're like-minded, we have some things in common, and I want to serve you. Now, the person on the other side, rather than getting an invite that says, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? I think your audience could benefit. It's reversed. It's, I want you to come on, and I want to show my audience all the cool things that you're up to. I want to spend my money and promote this on Facebook ads. I want to spend my time and draft an email and blast it to my audience. Reversed. What is in it for me? If I'm on the other side and someone's inviting me onto their podcast, I'm looking at the way that things are phrased. Now, there's other things that I'm going to look at. What's their audience look like? Are we aligned in terms of topics? How much work do I have to do? Is it worth the time versus, I guess, effort? And what's the potential impact that it could make? But at the end of the day, if they're wording it saying, Michael, and I can tell if they've done their research, I know you've written these 3 books. I read all the books. This particular chapter was amazing. Can I bring you on my podcast? And can we talk about this chapter? And I'm just going to let my audience know about you. I would RSVP for that particular podcast immediately, even if they didn't have an audience, because they put my needs first. If you look at how you're doing the additional outreach, when you have landed a podcast interview and you get to that end of the conversation, it can go one of many different directions. Usually the person that you're interviewing, as a way to express a little bit of gratitude, unless they're in a rush because you went long on the podcast, which is a huge mistake. Unless for some reason it went long, usually I will tell them it's going to be 45 to 60 minutes. And I'm going to aim to keep it at 30 so that I have that buffer that we can have a conversation after. I start to make a little bit of small talk, but I let them lead a little bit. And I try and play off of how the podcast went. What is their energy showing me? I'm trying to read their energy a little bit, but I'm not going in for the kill. And I know that that is counterintuitive with selling, but this is not selling. This is relationship building. So I'm not going to go in for the kill afterwards if I can't really get a good vibe. Say, hey, what are your thoughts on, can you mail this out to your email list? Or what are the chances of us doing some fun things together? I still take the approach of what's in it for me. So first off, thank you ever so much for coming on the podcast. I know your time is extremely valuable. I know that I got a lot out of today's episode. So here is what's going to happen next. And I will put this in an email for you. Our team is going to go back and edit it. And when we edit it, we're going to take out any of the ums and uhs, and we're going to clean it up a little bit, add an intro and an outro, spice it up. The target date for go live is 3 weeks from today. And to make your life easier, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of clips from the show. I'm going to send you video ones, audio bites. I'm going to send you quote cards, all of this neat stuff. So that should you want to post some of this stuff and kind of show that you were on here and continue to benefit your audience, you've got all that stuff. But regardless of anything, I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to blast my email list. I'll copy you on the email so you can see that it went out. Number two, I'm going to throw $500 at Facebook ads to promote this episode after it's live. And I'm going to I just want to get you some free exposure and just continue to drive some awareness to you. I'm grateful for your time. And I'm going to post it on all my social media as well. Now, typically what ends up happening, well, they're overjoyed, because they're not used to that. They're used to everyone coming at them for what's in it for me on their side, not looking at what their needs are. They know that there's ulterior motives, but if you're being authentic, being genuine, and backing up all the different things that you are going to do with actual proof and step by step and making it easy to your promise of all that you have to do is show up to this podcast and I'm going to get my audience to be able to see all of your great stuff. I'm going to sponsor, I'm going to put some money behind it, like all that great stuff, just as a way to say thank you. More often than not, on the other side, it's that whole law of reciprocity. They're going to say something like, how can I best help you? How can I best support you? And that is a little bit of a cue where, again, you play off the body language and you can figure out, do you want to go in for the kill rate then? I normally do not. I normally say, that's an amazing question and I'm so grateful that you asked. Could we set up a follow-up call in 4 weeks? I want to focus my attention on getting the podcast out, getting it promoted. I just want to get you some awareness first, but can we put some time on the calendar? That is how I approach that. Now, if their body language is like, hey, let's rock and roll. Can I bring you on my show next week? Like, go in for the kill. And you've got to kind of play that off a little bit. But with all of your outreach, with the podcast invites, the after the podcast, the initial DMs to get someone on the podcast, all of those follow-up emails, even after they've been on a podcast and even said, yes, they're going to promote you. It doesn't mean that, well, that's an open invitation and now your content and the way that you're selling to them can completely change. You still need to focus on them and building the relationship. How do you do that? You send them helpful, authentic articles. You deploy the gifting strategy with fun, personalized, unique gifts. All of that stuff, continuing to serve them. Maybe you promote their podcast a second time with some more ad dollars. And all of a sudden there's 500 comments on the podcast and you send a screenshot and say, I know we did this episode 3 months ago. I wanted to put some more ad dollars just to keep this thing rolling. I hope you get some good traffic from it. You continue to put their needs first. Now, the other thing that I want you to look at is if you have not learned or read the book StoryBrand, I love the frameworks, I love the concept. StoryBrand is about making your customer, making your prospect, making that relationship the hero of the story, where they meet you as their guide. So what ends up happening far too often is that companies, they make themselves the heroes. They make everything about them. Instead of looking at what does your prospect, what does that relationship really want? What are some of the things that if they end up working with you, what are the great things that could happen? What are the tragic things that could happen? But every single piece of communication on your website, on your email signatures, on your follow-up messages follows the StoryBrand framework to where you are acting as a guide to help that relationship move in doing some business with you. But instead of having things like, whatever, we're the best marketing agency for this particular niche, that's the bottom of your email signature line. Or, while I love the Inc. 5000 list, I would much rather see something at the bottom of your email signatures instead of saying Inc. 5000 recipient. Why wouldn't you have the number of businesses that you've helped? So if you were a marketing agency, for example, I would rather see 215 businesses saved, 215 businesses helping them generate whatever, $100 million in revenue or saving life, whatever it is, but you're making your customer, your prospect, your Dream 100 relationship the hero. You're not making yourself the hero. And I know this takes a lot, especially people that have deployed this framework, that they have a strong brand themselves. They have not necessarily a big ego, but a big social media following. It's like, well, how do I make them the hero when I feel like I'm doing them a favor? That's the issue. You are making that assumption just because you have a great following or you're well known, whatever it might be, you're a bigger company, that they should end up working with you. They should partner with you, but you're not spending enough time to get clear on all of their needs. The final piece of information, the final piece of advice, the final homework assignment that I need you to execute is, as you're deploying the Dream 100 framework, you need to be crystal clear on exactly what those Dream 100 relationships want and need, personally and professionally. And if you can be their guide to helping them accomplish that, if you can move them along the path, if you can start to relate to them and use phrases like, I get it, I've been there, this is crazy, life shouldn't be this hard, growing your business shouldn't be this hard, I want to help you get this. I don't want to see you go down the wrong path and get that. So let me guide you. Let me help you. The more you continue to put your Dream 100 prospects front and center and focus on them, knowing that they are concerned with what's in it for me, you will continue to win day after day after day. Your copy will get better. Your response rates will improve. Your conversion after the podcast will continue to grow if you stick with it. You continue to do that. You do not divert and all of a sudden change it up and start to get aggressive. You keep pushing with value, 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 gift, 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 good content, thank you messages. How can I serve you? How can I help you? That is how you dominate and win with this framework. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.